This video and its content has been rated G for general audiences, exported by LumaFusion, published to YouTube, and has been given the annual support from viewers like you.
Thomas the Tank Engine's rolling along. All of his friends will be coming along. Thomas, we love you. Thomas, we love you. Thomas, we love you.
The Brendam Branchline is a peninsula on the south coast of the island of Sodor. Going right down a junction near Wellsworth, you'll see a couple interesting sights. Dingsley Halt is a fancy hotel on the Brendam Hill, and the mayor lives near Sodor, the capital of Sodor, where engines and road vehicles pick him up to take him to the town hall at Tidmouth. There's also an animal park by the tracks, where Nia occasionally takes care of the wildlife, as well as an orchard where Trevor works after being safe from the scrapyard not far from Brendam where Reg works. There are also local services from the branch and main line across the island. However, the branch line has one particular main purpose. At the end of the line, there is a foundry with white mountains above, along with a substance called China clay. This is what's known as the China clay pits, where Marion, Timothy, and the tank engine twins Bill and Ben work. The clay is dug up from the mines, and the engines either take the trucks to other places on the island, or travel less than a mile on a small railway to Brendam docks, where the clay is shipped all over the world. However, as beautiful as the branch line is, it can also be very busy. Other engines occasionally help out, but sometimes new engines are called, and that's exactly what happened one hot day.
Man, I'm puffed out. Me too, bro. I had to dig through the clay mines with the men. Can't wait to have a wash down tomorrow. Oh, you think being wet makes you feel better? Think again. It's so hot there's water leaking from my side. Ugh, too much information, bro.
The twins meant well, and always wanted to be really useful. But sometimes, when it was hot and dirty, the only way the twins thought about entertaining themselves was by being naughty.
Here comes Boko. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Why, of course I am. Let's do it.
Hello, you two. Sorry for being late, but I just got done delivering the late-night goods train to Hardwick.
Say, Boko, was there anything romantic along the line?
What are you talking about?
Well, we were just wondering. How is your relationship with Daisy going?
You know very well that everyone on this side, including me, get annoyed while Daisy talking about how certain dates are bad for my twins.
But the twins weren't listening.
Boko and Daisy sitting by the sea. K-I-S-S.
Will you two shut up? I can barely hear myself think.
Boo! You're no fun to me.
Don't make me get Edward involved.
That rusty piece of old iron. Not me too. Let's just go, Ben.
I'm sorry about those two, Boko. I don't know how they enjoyed this after like 75 years.
It's fine. I gotta admit it, but I felt bad seeing them tired recently from the hot sun.
Tell me about it. There's a lot more freight than usual, as well as passengers coming from the docks for the holidays.
The sun almost overheating my engine in less than 5 minutes on my afternoon passenger train.
We're doing well with this part of the branch line from here to the docks, but I sometimes wish we had a bit of help from Edward and that red engine I see double heading with him. What's he doing here again?
He was brought mainly to assist Edward since his age was catching up a bit. His name is Bishop.
Oh right, I forgot. But that aside, I sometimes wish me, Marion, and even the twins had a little help.
More like we need another engine.
But they weren't the only ones. The manager of the clay pits had overheard the two engines' conversation, so he decided to make a phone call. Topham Hat's office in Knapford Station.
bother that telephone. Hello?
Hello, sir. This is the manager of the China Clay Pits. I'm just calling to let you know about my recent concerns.
What do you have to say?
The Brendam Branchline has been very busy here lately for not just the clay pits, but the docks as well. More and more passengers are coming for holidays, and there are people who wished for our clay. We've been doing really well, but it's not exactly good for the engines to work this hard, especially in the hot sun.
You all seem to be doing a decent job, but you could use a little help. Maybe I could loan you a new engine to help with the extra workload. In fact, I went to the diesel works today to check on a new diesel engine during his restoration. And he's actually had an experience on the branchline before.
Yep, you guessed it. The diesel with a toothache, Derek. Well, not toothache, but rather a lisp. Oh, hello. And if you thought I was referring to his teething troubles, I'm afraid you are mistaken, for this diesel has officially been fully overhauled. Back in 1998, Derek was brought to the Brendam Branchline to help out at the China Clay Pits for a short while. However, he had proven to have teething troubles and be a failure like Sir Stephen Topham Hatt had imagined, and his engine had overheated. Twice! However, he had been sold to the National Railway Museum in York, where he was restored and preserved. But now, he was officially going back to the Brendam Branchline on a second chance trial. When the twins heard they were going to get some help, they were pleased.
Thank goodness. At least we have an extra wheel. Maybe he'll be so strong, we both might have a ton of days off to go trick other engines. At least when it's not too hot. Not so fast, you two. We engines have to be useful, no matter what the weather.
Some of you may recognize this diesel from the 1990s.
Sir, what do you mean by that?
Shush! Here he comes!
Wait a minute.
Hello there. It's a pleasure to see you all. Boko could have sworn the diesel looked familiar. Then he gasped! Guess who's back? An old foe. Guess who's back? Tell your bro.
You again?
Oh, right.
What's going on here? Have you three met him before?
Yeah, I'm confused. Boko sighed, but decided to spill the beans.
This diesel's name is Paxman. He used to help out at the China Clay Pits in 1998 for a short while. However, he had a few trouble with his engine, often overheating like the other members of the Class 17 diesels.
But luckily, I was sold to the National Railway Museum, where I spent the best 25 years of my life. I was fully overhauled and everything, and I've never felt any happier.
Oh, so you're the engine Boko told me about. I wish I could have met you sooner. But I was in an overhaul back then up until 2001. My name's Edward, by the way.
And what's your name again, Green Diesel?
Boko.
Oh, right. I remember.
Now then, everyone, Derek here will help you with the workload that has been increasing a bit lately. He is going to spend the night here and do various jobs around the Brendam Branchline tomorrow. I'd like you all to make him feel welcome here. Understand?
Yes, sir. But once the clay manager had left, the twins started acting up.
Ugh, why on earth would the Fat Hat choose another green engine to help us? There's already way too many green diesels on the island. Boko, Philip, Daisy, Bear, Dodge, and Paxton. Come to think of it, I bet you stole his name on purpose. Paxman. You said it, bro. But that aside, being green doesn't matter. What matters is getting help from other engines who don't have teething troubles and being really useful, which is something you can't do, because this quarry is no place for failures like you, considering the rocks could mess up your motor in less than a second. Oi! How dare you talk to him like that? He may have had some problems in the past, but I bet he'll do wonders for our branch line. You have no right to insult him like that. Insult? We're not insulting him. We're just pointing out the facts. Yeah, like how his motor's about to blow up from the sun. You know what? I have a fact for you two as well. And that's if you two get out of here and go find another shed to sleep in for the night.
I totally agree. We don't want your negative behavior keeping us up all night. So Bill and Ben went to go sleep at Brendam Docks for the night.
I'm so sorry about them, Derek. They're usually pretty cheeky, but it's not very often that they pick on other engines.
It's fine. I know I'm really useful though, so it doesn't really matter to me anymore.
That's the spirit. But one question. How did you fix up?
Yeah, what's your origins? And why do you have two names? Well, it's a long story, but I'm willing to share it. And Derek began his origin story. Back in the early 60s, the Clayton Type 1 Paxman diesels, or more commonly known as the BR Class 17, were a wide range of 117 diesels built between 1952 and 1965. Derek, back then nicknamed Paxman, was one of these diesels, and he worked with the siblings along the north of Britain and Scottish region. However, the twin Paxman engines were unreliable, being prone to problems with their engines, the camshaft and cylinder head, as well as other areas. Paxman tried his best, but eventually, withdrawals took place in 1968 and 71, and eventually, almost every Class 17 was scrapped by December of 1975, after less than 10 years of service. However, there was one diesel, numbered D8568 and named Clayton, that was given an overhaul and is currently preserved on the Severn Valley Railway. Paxman remained at a scrapyard in Scotland, about to be cut up, until 1998, when Sir Stephen Topham had discovered him and brought him to the China clay pits. However, as you would expect, his teething troubles were still a major flaw, causing him to break down twice in less than a week. The Crovensgate Works didn't have the money at the time to give him an overhaul, but thankfully, he was sold to the National Railway Museum, where they were able to take better care of him. They gave him a massive overhaul, along with a new engine, and by the end of the 19th century, Paxman felt like a whole new diesel, with the exception of being renamed Derek, as he thought Derek was more to his liking. For the next 25 years, Derek was either a stacked display or taking visitors to and from the area. However, in November 2022, it was announced that the station hall was going to be closed for repairs. It was also around this time that the cold weather was affecting Derek's engine, causing it to break down. But with the station hall getting a roof, there wasn't enough money to pay for Derek's engine. However, the Flying Scotsman suggested that Derek should live on Sodor, where his brother lived, and where he occasionally visited. Derek was nervous, but was keen to give Sodor at least one more try. So he was sent to the diesel works on Sodor, and when the new engine arrived a while later, Derek was ready to give the NWR a second chance.
Looks like the museum's done wonders for you. I'm sorry for all the trouble you went through, but you're in good hands here on Sodor.
He's right. Now come on. Let's get some rest for the night.
And so that's what they did. The next day, Edward and Derek went to Brendam Docks. Derek was assigned to shunt around the dockyard and take goods to their designed locations. The twins were busy helping out at the giant clay pits, so Derek was lucky not to see them. When they arrived, Salty was there.
Ahoy there, me hearties. I'm Salty.
And I'm Porter, and these are our 3 live cranes, Cranky, Charlie, and Big Mickey.
Now then, Derek, I'm gonna head off now for my morning passenger train. Have a nice time here.
I will. Thank you, Eddie. It's almost as if me and that red diesel have similar horns. But anyways, let's get to work. Derek, Salty, and Porter all worked hard shunting trucks and coaches and organizing rolling stock for the other engines to take. Derek even got a chance to meet some of the other engines as well. Even though he was excited, and the docks looked very different from the 90s, he longed to see more of the branch line. But he soon got a chance when Salty blew his horn.
Say, Derek, there's some trucks filled with machinery on the other side of the warehouse that need to be taken to the scrapyard not far from here.
Thanks, Salty. Once Derek had delivered the trucks, he was told to head to the Crosby coal hopper to pick up some trucks for the coal mines, where he met Sonny, Logan, and Molly. Derek was informed that between Crosby and Wellsworth was a junction that led towards the coaling plant and mining branch line. All in all, Derek's first day on trial was a success. Even Cranky was impressed. However, Derek still had a lot to learn. The next day, Derek was assigned to passenger duties. He was pulling 2 important people in his coaches, the mayor of Sodor and Sir Topham Hatt. Sir Topham Hatt's mansion was located near Wellsworth, but since his car had broken down, Derek had to take him with the mayor. In the coaches, Sir Tom Hat was telling the mayor all about Derek's origin story.
Wow, Topham, I can't believe this diesel went through all that. I'm very proud of him for pulling through.
Derek dropped off Sir Tom Hat in Knapford and then took the mayor to the Tidmouth Town Square.
Thank you, Derek.
Derek left his coaches and rolled backwards toward Tidmouth Sheds. He was going to take a branchline train from Knapford to Kildane. Derek got on the turntable and spun round the opposite direction, in front of James, who had been shut up in the shed after being naughty.
Another diesel? Good grief, what was Sir Tom Hat thinking?
Derek said nothing. As soon as the turntable was set, he rolled away, accidentally blowing a little black smoke. Whoops, sorry.
Oh, my paintwork. Just you diesels on the mainland.
This made Derek start to feel a bit self-conscious, but he couldn't stay that way for long once he was about to start. He was talking to Thomas and Bertie, who were giving each other passengers for the Farquhar branch line. Hope you know what you're doing on your first run, and make sure not to leave your gun behind. Don't worry, Mr. Boss. I know what I'm doing. I've pulled tourist trains before back in York. And when the guard's whistle blew, Derek was off. At first, everything was going well. At least until they passed Wellsworth, for between Edward Station and Marin was Gordon's Hill. Derek remembered the time he overheated halfway up, and booked to spend some time helping him. He suddenly became nervous and stopped just before the hill, of course irritating the passengers. The guard went up to Derek to see what the problem was.
What's going on? Have we broken down or something?
No, but what you just said is why I don't want to go up this hill.
Whatever are you talking about?
Derek explained everything. When I came up this hill on the way to the Brendam branch, my improved engine I've had for years didn't overheat, and I was pleased to finally go up this hill successfully. But this is different. I have heavy coaches full of passengers on board, including you, and I wouldn't want to disappoint them.
Listen, Derek, I understand where you're coming from, but I've been on trains up this hill as a guard for years. I've been on many engines that have struggled up this hill or broken down. But you know what? Struggling is part of being really useful and not giving up no matter what. When I go inside my van, I'll make sure the passengers know you can do it.
This made him feel a lot better. And so, Derek started up the hill. He wasn't really struggling, but it was kind of a hot day, and he was feeling a bit nervous. But he remembered what the guard said and did his best, until he finally reached the top.
Well done, Derek. Now let's get to the station.
Derek felt very pleased with himself, and arrived at Kildane safe and sound. Derek turned around on the turntable at the Kildane scrapyard, and then took his train back to Knapford. He was a shunter there for the rest of the day with Philip, before being asked to take a train of equipment to the clay pits. However, things were about to explode.
Oh, hey, Derek. How was your day pulling passengers?
It was decent, but then I had to look at the yards of that slightly annoying Buck's cab.
Yeah, he can be a bit talkative sometimes, but I still love his enthusiasm.
You really know how to take care of those little ones at 127?
I know, right?
Derek rolled away, chuckling to himself. However, he didn't see what was ahead. Bill and Ben were racing each other down the line to Derek's side of the quarry, both determined that the other would lose. But Bill wasn't aware that Derek was on his line.
I'm going to win. I'm going to crash. Look out, brother. Oof.
Derek was sent rolling down the line, but he wasn't hurt.
Bill, are you all right?
But instead of apologizing, Ben was furious at Derek.
Oi, watch where you're going, you stupid diesel. You could have caused an accident.
I'm sorry, I
was too busy being a failure to move out of your way. Sir Topham Hatt was stupid to make the decision of bringing you back here. The only purpose you'll ever have is being a static display at that museum. You should have stayed on that Kildane branch line. After all, that is where the scrapyard is located.
This was the final straw for Derek. Well, you know what? As a diesel, I wish the two of you were nothing but rust! It's what you deserve for saying all that bullshit about me. Just who do you two think you are? Making fun of a faulty engine of mine that doesn't exist anymore and shaming me for your carelessness? I've had enough of you two. You're full of nothing but pure hate towards me, and I'm sick of it. I wish you were dead! And Derek rolled away in fury.
Derek, come back!
Oh my God. Now look what you two have done. How could you say such things to him?
Well,
Bill and Ben, I think it'd be time I tell you something about Boko you've never known before.
Ahoy there, me hearty.
I need your ass up.
You look worse than Sailor John rotting in prison.
Where's Derek?
Oh, well, I saw him rushing through here to that good shed over a minute ago, but he seemed upset about something. And Porter was right. Derek sat alone in the goods shed by the quayside, while a passenger ship slowly sailed out into the open ocean. But even the ship couldn't make him feel better. He was feeling bad about himself. Not because of what the twins had said, but because of the opposite. Derek was a very friendly diesel. He would never threaten anyone at all. But the truth was, it was just a bad moment for him.
Derek! There you are! Are you alright?
Derek said nothing.
Is this about the twins said? Look, I am extremely sorry. I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm sure Edward is...
It's not them.
Huh?
It's not the twins I'm bothered about. It's myself. When I was in York, they gave me a full overhaul and a new engine. I felt really useful there, and like I said before, I had the best 25 years of my life. However, sometimes when I pulled tourist trains, I've had a couple people remind me of my history and how me and Clayton are the only Paxmans left. I don't really care what the twins say though. I know I'm a really useful engine, and I think I've been doing really well here these last 2 days on Sodor. But the truth is, I don't know what it's like thinking about my history of breaking down, nearly being scrapped, failing the clay pits 25 years ago, or any of that. I don't blame anyone for knowing or mentioning my history, but still, I hope you understand.
I understand very well. Even though our troubles are over, we still have their memories. But I know a fact, and you have much better and hardworking diesels than most in London, England.
Well, I'm very glad to be hearing those words from you.
You know, Derek, you're not the only diesel that has some problems in the past. I was once in your shoes as well.
And Boko explained about the history of the Metropolitan Vickers diesels and how it was repaired and brought to the Brendam Branchline. Wow, I think I've heard about your type before, but never specifically your flaws. Though I know there were some diesels who had the same issues before. He also mentioned that back in 1998, when he rescued Paxman from Gordon's Hill, he was going to mention it to him, but got distracted as he was angry with Bill and Ben for how they had treated him that morning.
But you don't have to worry about them anymore.
Edward had just arrived after following Boko, and was now sitting in the siding with them.
I gave those two a scolding for treating you like that, and they seemed to understand that what they did was wrong. Especially when I told them about Boko's history, something I should have told them a long time ago.
Well, that's a relief, but just curious, why didn't you tell them sooner?
Well, here's the thing, Derek. When Boko first arrived on Sodor, he occasionally had some bad memories of his flaws. He knew he was useful, but me and him agreed to not talk about it anymore, except for each other. Until Boko felt more comfortable after a while, and we just never got around to telling the twins. But don't worry, Derek. It doesn't matter what anyone else says, because to us, you're one of the most useful diesels on Sodor. And you know what? I once knew a certain green engine who was just like you.
And Edward explained Henry's history as well, and how the Topham family was a magnificent source of fixing any kind of locomotive.
Sir Topham did wonders for Henry, Sir Charles did wonders for Boko, Sir Stephen did wonders for Dennis and Norman, and Sir Richard, the current Fat Controller, saved Bishop from the scrapyard and brought him here to work. And even if you do have occasional problems like every other engine does, nothing can stop you from being a really useful engine. And remember, nobody is perfect.
Oh my word. I never thought I'd ever hear something like that in my life. I appreciate it a lot.
Anytime, Derek. We're always there for you, no matter what.
Derek felt better than ever, and the three engines were chatting like old friends. The next morning, Bill and Ben were taking a stone train to the docks. They felt very bad about what they had done, and were planning on apologizing to Derek, but they didn't know how, and their troubles were only beginning, as Ben was starting to feel very tired and woozy.
I don't feel so good, Bill. I have a headache. Oi, stop complaining and deal with it. You're giving me a headache as well. Come to think of it, I don't even think we have. Oh, shut up, Bill. You're just as boring as Edward. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I'm not. R2.
Follow you two! Are you alright, Ben? But Ben was much too exhausted to answer. Maybe you're overheating or something. We'll check you out once we get to the docks. Use you. Can you do me a favor? There are some empty trucks over there on the ferry dock that need to be taken away to the sidings. The ship has already taken the cargo away. I would do it myself, but me and Salty are very busy at the moment, and there are other loads coming in. So Bill and Ben did as they were told, and turned around so that they could head to the ferry dock. Bill managed to make it to his trucks and was about to be coupled up, but Ben was moving very slowly. He was so tired and sick that he wasn't paying attention to where he was going. Ben, look out! Ben suddenly woke up with a jolt as the trucks fell off the edge and sunk into the ocean.
Huh? Oh my God! Help! Ben!
Engine overboard!
Emergency, emergency! Clear the area immediately!
Save me, brother!
Ben was now dangling over the edge. He was feeling both scared and nauseous. He wanted to vomit in the ocean, but he didn't dare in case he fell trying to. Bill quickly parked behind his brother and coupled him up. He tried to pull him to safety, but Ben was getting too close to the ocean.
Come on! Come on, Bill! Pull harder and save my life, God dang it!
I guess it's time to prove how useful I am. Hold on, you two. I'm coming. Derek, what are you doing? There, couple me up. Right. And with one mighty heave, Derek safely pulled Ben back onto the tracks. All the workmen were cheering for him, and both him and the twins were very relieved. It's all right, Ben. You're safe.
Thank goodness. No!
Calm down, Bill. Your brother is going to be alright. He just overheated and became ill in the sun. But the workmen at Croven's Gate have told me that after he gets some rest for a few days, he should be back at work again.
But it's a good thing Derek was here to save him. Otherwise, Ben would have been sunk.
Indeed. I'm surprised you had the heart despite everything.
I just had to. They might have been rude to me, but no legend deserves a fate like that. Bill was very thankful, but he still had something to say.
Derek, I'm sorry for how I treated you these past few days. I'm now realizing that you're actually quite friendly. Thank you for saving my brother.
It's alright, Bill. I could have just left your brother alone, but I feel bad for all engines in the scrapyard.
And that's what makes you really useful.
Derek just beamed with delight.
Well done, Derek. But you two are grounded from playing tricks on anyone for a month.
And while Ben was in the works, Derek helped out around the clay pits. When he returned, Ben, along with his twin, whistled warmly to Derek as he honked his horn back. Nowadays, Derek's main jobs are helping out around the clay pits and docks, and occasionally delivering goods and passengers around the island. He is now very happy to be known as a really useful member of the Brendam Branchline and have a really useful engine. Quite literally.